Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to do my most worn perfumes of 2021. I did a very similar video to this back in 2020 and it was extremely popular, so I'm hoping people like this kind of content. If you do like this kind of content and you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing because, I'm nearly at 1,000 subscribers and, just saying. And yeah, if you're already subscribed, then thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you. I don't say that enough. I really do appreciate you. And I love talking to you in the comments. I always try to answer every single comment that I receive. So thank you for those as well. So this video, most worn 2021. I am one of those people, that keep a diary of what perfume I was wearing on which day. So I think I can more accurately tell you than most people can exactly which perfumes I've been reaching for this year. So this isn't made up, this is actually me going back, looking at that diary and finding out what I was wearing over these months. January, what was I wearing? So if we think back to January we were still in lockdown. I was spending an awful lot of time at home on a sofa watching Netflix, let's be honest. So I was reaching for comforting scents basically, and the one that I was reaching for most was Diesel's Loverdose Tattoo. So this perfume really makes me smell like a vanilla creamy custardy rice pudding with a bit of a kick at the end of it. It's just such a sweet fragrance. I'm not normally a massive fan of sweet, but this one just gets me because it reminds me of Mugler rice puddings, and I absolutely love Mugler rice puddings, and I'm quite happy to smell like one. It's just perfect for being at home basically. So that's Diesel's Loverdose Tattoo. So February was kind of similar. I was still spending a lot of time at home, but I'd also decided to go on a perfume no-buy. So I stopped buying perfumes for February and March. And so I was just enjoying my purchases from January, basically. And the one purchase from January that I was totally obsessed with at the time was Chant by Ricci. So this perfume was formulated by Francis Kurkdjian, which I think is why it got a bit of hype. But this whole line is quite respected, isn't it? I think, the Rose Extase one was everywhere on YouTube last year. I also have that one and I also really like that, but I think I just prefer this one slightly just because of my own personal preferences. So this one is a sort of caramel, almost salty kind of fragrance. And it smells a bit like a salted caramel or salted fudge, but there's also sort of some warmth in this because there's ginger. But overall, I would say it's a mix of sweet, salty and fresh notes, and I find that mixture really interesting. I think if you like perfumes like Olympia or Kenzo World Power or perhaps Calvin Klein Reveal, you'd probably really like this one. So it's Nina Ricci, Chant Extase. So in March, I was back to my extremely comforting fragrances again, and the one that I was reaching for most in March was Glossier You. I really feel like Glossier You was my fragrance discovery of 2020. It's something that I would never have dreamt as a scent profile that I would really, really enjoy. But yeah, I describe Glossier You as a hug in a bottle. It's just so comforting. You really feel enveloped in your own little scent bubble of fluffiness, basically. It's a musky, woody, slightly sweet, but also slightly peppery fragrance. And it's definitely got a makeup-y feel about it. It's one of those very clean skin kind of fragrances. Yeah, I describe it as warm, clean skin, basically, Glossier You. I think if you like things like This Is Her, you probably like this fragrance. So that's Glossier You. So in April, my no-buy was over and I went a bit crazy. I bought quite a few perfumes in April, and the one that I was reaching for the most was actually Gucci Bloom Nettare de Fiori, and I would say that this one is so far out of my comfort zone. I don't even know why I picked it up. Honestly, I don't, because I don't even like Gucci Bloom, the original pillar fragrance of this line. There's no way I'd ever buy Gucci Bloom, so I don't know why I ever thought to blind buy Gucci Bloom Nettare de Fiori, but I was really, really pleased that I had, because I would describe this one as a very strong white floral perfume. But there's also a lot of sweetness in this. So there's a honeysuckle note and there's also rose. And I think the rose and the honeysuckle just mean that I really like this perfume. I think this perfume is definitely on the edge of what I can tolerate with white florals when they become a little bit indolic. This perfume is one of those you just have to keep sniffing because it sort of starts off quite dirty and quite indolic. But then as it dries, it just becomes creamier and rosier. And I think this perfume actually in the dry down is really beautiful. So I'm really pleased that I tried this one. So that's Gucci Bloom Nettare de Fiori. So May was a time of celebration in the UK because things seem to be getting back to normal a little bit. The shops reopened and people just seem to be getting out and about a bit more after lockdown. And the shops actually had amazing deals when they first reopened. And also Guerlain were repackaging a lot of their perfumes. So I picked up Insolence. And Insolence is something that I had heard loads about on YouTube, and I'd heard that people had described it as controversial, as love or hate. And I was a little bit worried that I'd be in the hate pile, but I still bought it. I don't know why. And there weren't any testers, so I just bought this blind. But yeah, this perfume just makes me really happy. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just got such an innocent, girly vibe about it. It's so... It sort of smells old school, but it also just makes you feel super young. It's a really weird feeling that I get from this perfume. So this is a very striking, very sweet, almost fruity violet perfume to me. It's just something that I don't have anything like in my collection, and I just really enjoy it. I'm not always in the mood for it, but when I wear it, I really love it. I wore this one yesterday. And yeah, it struck me just how much I loved it again. And I think it's something I'm always going to come back to. It's not going to be something that I'd wear every single day because I think I'd get fed up with it. But when I just, discover it after a couple of weeks or a month or so, then I absolutely love wearing this one. So that's Guerlain's Insolence. If you haven't tried it, go check it out. So in June, I think I was getting back to my tomboy roots and I wanted something a little bit fresher, a little bit less cloying than Insolence can be. So I was reaching for this one. This is Metal Wave by All Saints. So this whole line of fragrances by All Saints is a bit of a dupe operation, I feel. This one has been compared to Tom Ford's Metallique and also Eau de Well by Diptyque. So if you like those kinds of fragrances and you want something a little bit cheaper, then you should maybe check out this one. So this to me is a very pencil shavings kind of scent. It smells like pencil shavings and woody green vanilla to me. It's a little bit fresh in the opening, but that does die back and you're just left with this woody vanilla fragrance. I think the beauty of this perfume is the simplicity. It's not complicated at all. It doesn't take any thinking about. So that's Metal Wave by All Saints. So in July, I was reaching for refreshing fragrances basically because it was warm here in the UK. And the one that I was reaching for most was actually one I didn't even intend to buy. This came as part of a bundle and it's Moschino Funny. So I intended to buy the other fragrance in this bundle and I didn't even want this one. And to be honest, by the way the bottle looks, it just made me not want to try it. And that is just so silly, isn't it? Because this fragrance was really probably the surprise of the year for me. This one I didn't imagine that I would love, but I really do love it. It's really refreshing. It's a really bright but bitter orange, and it's also got a tea note in it. And I think the thing about this fragrance is that the citrus note stays true throughout the fragrance. It doesn't dissipate. And I've had so many fragrances where they've had a really bright citrus opening and I've been really excited, and then it just goes within about 5 minutes and it's just so disappointing. But this one, it stays. It's also got cedar in it, and sometimes cedar is a bit too much for me. It's sometimes a bit too piney, but in this it's fine. It's also got floral notes and you do smell them, but really it's the bitter orange that's the star in this perfume. It's just really refreshing. I'd recommend this one for summer for sure. So that's Moschino Funny. So in August I went on holiday and I went to the Northumberland coast and I also visited loads of castles, and while I was doing all of that I was mostly reaching for this fragrance, and this is Calvin Klein's Reveal. I think this one would be in my top 3 of the year. This and Chant really strike me as fragrances that I really enjoy, and I'd say this one just edges out Chant a little bit for me at the moment, but my scent tastes do change. But this one is a mixture of peppery, salty, creamy, sweet and woody notes. It's a really difficult fragrance to describe, but yeah, it has that kind of beachy feel that Chant also has. Something a little bit similar, a little bit along the lines of Womanity, but not without, I think some people get a bit of a fishiness from Womanity, but don't think you could ever get a fishiness from Calvin Klein's Reveal. So that's my pick for August, Calvin Klein's Reveal. So in September, I was reaching for things that are a little bit darker because the weather was changing, and I remember going out for a couple of meals as well in September and reaching for this fragrance. And this fragrance was really a massive surprise to me actually, because it's something that I never expected Elizabeth Arden to produce. And this is Fifth Avenue Royale. So this fragrance is a leather fragrance, though that is really the main dominant note for me, the leather. But it's also a little bit boozy, it's also a little bit woody. I think it's also got incense in it. This fragrance does have longevity issues though, so I think if you're going out for more than a couple of hours, you probably would need to reapply this. But it does actually project quite a bit, and people can definitely smell this on you, so it is a good going out fragrance. But yeah, it's not one for all day, every day, because it just doesn't last that long, but a very nice fragrance, Fifth Avenue Royale. So in October, I was well and truly down the Middle Eastern fragrance rabbit hole, and that rabbit hole led me to Opulent Musk by Lattafa. This fragrance is meant to be a bit of a Baccarat Rouge dupe, and I was curious. I kind of wanted to see whether I liked it or not. I'd say in the opening, there's a lot of saffron, so if you're not a big fan of saffron, this might be a bit too much for you. I'd also say that the saffron is slightly rubbery to me in this fragrance, and I wasn't sure about the opening at all, but actually the dry down is beautiful. The dry down is a really creamy musk. I think this fragrance is regarded as quite a standout one from Lattafa, and considering this is like £11, I think this is astounding for £11. I think the opening of this is just a bit weird for me, but I still did wear this a heck of a lot in October. So that's Lattafa Opulent Musk. So we're getting up to date now. So November, I was testing fragrances 24/7, 7 days a week. I really didn't actually use many of my own fragrances. I was just testing other people's. So Paola sent me this sample from Cabanel, and this is Café Cabanel. And this one I was just obsessed with. I was wearing this so much. I even wore this, I think, on the 1st of December to my Christmas party at work. And yeah, this one, I feel like this is a sample that I will actually finish. This is something that I just can't get enough of. It's really addictive. I think, yeah, the thing that I really love about this is the really strong cinnamon opening. And it's just so long lasting, this fragrance as well. It's a coffee fragrance, or it's supposed to be a coffee fragrance, but the cinnamon really is the thing in the beginning. But the coffee is behind it all. The coffee comes later. The coffee is like an alcoholic coffee, almost like an espresso martini or something at the background of this. But there's also like milky and buttery notes in this fragrance, and it's just the most delicious gourmand fragrance I've smelt in a long, long time. And yeah, if I saw this in a shop and smelt it, I probably would have bought it. It's just because it's basically so unavailable and so expensive that I'm just, you know, using my sample, enjoying my life, and thinking about spending crazy amounts of money on it later. So that's Café Cabanel by Cabanel. So finally for December, and to match my nails, we're going for Nirvana Amethyst. So Nirvana Amethyst is a beautiful celebrity perfume from Elizabeth & James, and I had been wanting one from this range for ages, literally years. I've been looking at this range, and this was the one that jumped out at me in the end, and that's because I've just been thinking about getting a tobacco fragrance. And this fragrance is basically a sweet tobacco fragrance with a little bit of spice. So it's a vanilla-y tobacco basically. It's just really of this time really. It smells Christmassy to me, and I'm going to definitely take this one home with me when I go. So that's Nirvana Amethyst by Elizabeth & James. So I hope you enjoyed the video. What have you been wearing this year? What are your most warm fragrances? Are there any that you think that I'm missing out on? Please let me know down below. And also thank you for watching if you've got this far, and please press the like button if you have enjoyed this video. And also please consider subscribing if you haven't done already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.